Hi, I'm Apollonia. You may remember me from Purple Rain as leading lady to Prince, or from my band Apollonia 6. I've starred in films, TV shows, and I've been on the cover of magazines all over the world, including Playboy. I was also an LA Rams cheerleader. I'm going to take you with me. Welcome to my podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. Hi, I'm Apollonia, and welcome to my podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. And to my right is my co-host, Mr. Seth. Mr. Seth, what's happening today?
We are delighted to have a TV star, movie star, comic genius,
Legend,
stadium.
Already, I feel like I'm one of those. one of those is me. One of those.
He is probably one of the biggest right now, definitely. And I mean, he's just unbelievable. The one and only Gabriel Iglesias.
Thank you.
Yeah, Gabriel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We're so honored. I'm trying to be cool today. I'm looking in the wrong cameras too. I'm so excited. This is so great.
I don't know which is this my camera?
That's your.
Is this my camera? Or is this my camera?
Those two.
Those two.
Yeah.
That's how big I am. I need two cameras on me. I guess. When you said one of the biggest, I was waiting, but then you didn't say nothing after that. I'm like, all right, biggest.
Bigger than life.
Yeah.
Bigger than life. Gabriel Iglesias.
Biggest people to hit our snack bowl.
Oh my God. I'm just so excited to have you here. And
thank you for having me.
man, so how is your day going today?
So far, so good. I got kicked out of my parking.
No. Oh, damn. We got to fire that person.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
Put me in the street. No, it was my doing. I brought the biggest, most obnoxious car ever and put it right there. It's an SUV, so it took up two spots. It's like me in this chair.
It was great. He brought family, and then we have the honor that we're going to have to bring him out in a little bit. He brought his little puppies, which is so cool. But
they're actually ancient, but they're tiny.
You're so
my
lucky.
dog Lisa, she's almost 17, and my dog Benny, he's 12.
Oh my gosh. How old is yours?
I have a baby that's 16.
16.
16. It'll be 16 in August.
Oh, what day? Is it around my birthday?
31st.
Oh, man.
It's
A Virgo.
Raffiniki.
I bet.
Yes.
So when I was looking at, all your information, I didn't know you're a Cali boy. Yeah.
Yeah, always. That's why I always wear shorts.
Always Cali boy from San Diego. You lived Riverside, Corona, Santa Ana, Baldwin Park. And I love that you have humble beginnings, right? You lived in Long Beach in Section 8 housing. I did too. I was raised by a single mother, and I called your mother La Mera Mera because you were raised by a single mom.
Yep.
And
but I lived all over the place. San Diego's where I came out. And then I always tell people that my mom and I, because it was just the two of us, I had siblings, but they were already gone by the time I showed up. We migrated north.
Right.
And they say, oh, you moved? I said, no. We migrated. And they're like, well, what's the difference between moving and migrating? I said, well, when you move, you usually have a destination. There's a deposit, a moving truck.
Right.
You do it during the daytime. People help you.
Yeah.
There's things, whereas my mom would wake me up in the middle of the night and she's like, mijo, we gotta go. And so we lived in many different places, but it was never home.
Man.
So when I lived in Riverside and some of these other places, it was
Right.
we were just kind of like in transition.
Right.
And it wasn't until we got to Long Beach that's
Right.
where we decided
Right.
that's where we're gonna plant the flag.
And you lived in Compton for a bit.
Yes.
Tell me what that was
Long
like.
Beach, Compton, they're right there.
Yeah.
Right,
They're right
side
there.
by
So
side.
you're in Long Beach, you cross the street, CPT, and then you go
Yeah.
back in LBC. So
Right.
it's right there.
How were you treated being Hispanic in Compton? Because I know
think
there's a
that-
lot of Hispanics in Compton too.
I think Compton is very Hispanic now. I think that we apparently outsexed the black community, so we had more babies. You guys were keeping up. People started getting crazy. It wasn't that much of a, for me, I didn't really notice because it's like when you're a kid, you're not really looking for certain things. I think it's once you get older and you start having opinions on life and the media, then you start focusing and looking at, oh, is my life different?
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas when you're a kid, you're just like, well, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
So unless you have something to compare to, So for me,
Yeah.
I never noticed that I was like somewhere different or felt out of place.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So more like moving around, you became a chameleon, like you
I think now I notice more than ever because I'm
Mhm.
anywhere and everywhere. So like
Mhm.
yesterday I was in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mhm.
Last week I was in
Wow.
Milwaukee. The week before that I was here in California. And
Mhm.
next week I'm going to be somewhere. I mean, I'm trying to keep
Right.
track of the schedule, but
Yeah.
I'm a touring comedian. So
Yeah.
Right.
I go anywhere, everywhere, and not just in the United States, also
Yeah,
going
you're
out of the
everywhere.
country. So
Yeah.
it's, you see a lot, you
Yeah.
learn a lot.
You do.
Mhm.
You do. You do. Because you come in contact with every kind of person,
Hmm.
every walk of life,
Mhm.
from the humblest to the richest to,
Yep.
so yeah, it's,
I thought you were in the military or something because I mean, when I was reading all his info, it's like
Mhm.
I thought you were a military brat. That's why you were moving around a lot.
No, I think my mom had warrants. Something happened. She was just trying to get away. I don't know. As a kid, you were taught not to question.
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah,
It just you do what you're told.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
it.
yeah. Really interesting was something that you were just talking about as far as how the media kind of sets up your mind about certain things. I remember when my mom moved back to LA and she told me that she was living in Compton.
Mhm.
And I was like, "You're living in Compton?" Of course, this is Boys in the Hood time. And, some of those kind of movies. And I was just like, "What do you mean you're living in Compton? You can't be living in Compton." And then I came out and I came visit. I was like, "Ooh, there's some really nice parts of Compton." I mean, because I'm from
Mhm.
Detroit originally.
Mhm.
Oh, the D. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
when I saw
Yeah, no, there's
Compton,
Compton and then there's Detroit.
there's Detroit.
There's Detroit.
Or Destroy, as we used to call it.
Destroyed.
But
That's
I
funny.
was like, well, this is really nice. It was so funny because the media had put in my head that it was one thing and I came out. It was totally different than what I expected. Totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't find Ice Cube anywhere, could you?
No. Actually, I could because my mother was probably recording with him.
That's right.
She did
Oh,
all the
funny.
Death Row stuff. My mother did.
Oh, very
with,
nice.
Yeah, with Snoop Dogg and Suge Knight and
All those
all
guys.
of those guys back in the day. So, yeah, that's probably
So-
where they were.
When you were moving around in your teens, how did you like reinvent yourself? Because you had to have done that going from school. I went from school to school, and how did you reinvent yourself? What was your thing, being the new kid in school, moving around, and then being Latino too, moving to different school from this school to this school?
What I remember was being in San Diego in Chula Vista. I was in, I remember kindergarten
Mm-hmm.
or preschool and then kindergarten. And then I remember winding up in first grade in Riverside.
Mhm.
And I remember I was in first grade in Riverside. And then by the time all that movement that I told you about
Mm-hmm.
happened like over the course of a summer and a half. So second grade, I was already in Long Beach.
Wow.
So all that movement happened over like a little less than a year. It wasn't like we were somewhere. So it wasn't like having to get
Right,
used to
right.
new people and
Yeah.
new things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we were very much in a transition.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, once we
Yeah.
hit Long Beach, that's pretty much where where we stayed and where I still live now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Despite all the advice that I've gotten from people, you need to move. You need to move. I'm like, no, my city. And then I'm looking at taxes, and people are like, yeah, let's go to Texas. And I'm like, ooh.
Oh.
My problem is I'm stuck with all the I'm rooted. I'm very rooted and all the memories and
Mhm.
everything. So I have a lot of every time I turn a corner, I don't have my mom anymore, and so
Mhm.
every time I go down the street or make a left, make a right, there's things that remind me
There's
Right.
a memory
of her, and
Yeah.
so that's the part that I'm
There's a
like,
memory.
I'm sure like the neighborhood probably just adores having you there. You're their son and they see you.
I'm
and-
sure there's good and bad because with
You know?
anyone who's is somewhat successful, there's going to be the look
Yeah,
at him,
yeah,
Right.
and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that was my next question. Bullying. What was that like for you being bullied throughout school? Because you moved around so much.
Well, first of all, I think the definition of bullying has changed dramatically because, like, now you say bullying,
Mhm.
and it's usually something on your phone, something on a
Mhm.
computer screen,
Yeah.
Mhm.
words,
Yeah.
Words back in the day.
or words like now.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, if you said bullying,
Mhm.
there was like scars, bruises, a
Yeah.
police report,
Right.
child protective
Yeah.
services.
Yeah.
Right.
It was a lot more involved. So if you were
Mhm.
being bullied, it's like, oh, yeah, get him a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it's a
Yeah.
lot more emotional.
Yeah.
Right.
Back
Definitely.
then, it was literally physical, and I was getting beat up on the on the regular.
Mhm.
They always tell you to tell a counselor, principal,
Right.
school
Yeah.
teacher,
Yeah.
let them know what's happening to you. And unfortunately, it didn't work.
Mhm.
Mm.
I continued to get freaking beat up.
Yeah.
So then I told my mom,
Mhm.
and that did not go over well.
Right.
Mhm.
She showed up to the school and
Mhm.
she basically threatened my bully face to face.
Yep.
Oh, snap.
And she told him, like, if you put your hands on my son again, she literally told him, I will follow you home and kill your family.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that won't fly too
Damn.
well today, will it? Huh?
I know.
I'd be visiting my mom in a very special place. But guess who no longer got bullied after that?
I
That's
love
right.
that.
You know?
That's right.
Damn.
That's right. That's old school.
Yeah.
That's old school. I had my mom show up at school one time. I was going through the same
Mhm.
thing. I was probably in maybe 4th grade.
Yeah.
She came up there, and a teacher had spanked me. Back in the day, we get like the
Oh.
little paddle or whatever.
Yeah, a
Oh,
lot of people
man.
don't know that. You see these videos now of teachers like, I can't believe the teacher got in their face. Do you understand that like 40 years ago,
Yeah.
teachers
Oh.
are given permission
Yes.
to pull out like
Paddle.
The
paddle
ruler,
and
yep.
freaking nail you right
Uh-huh.
there.
Bend
To-
over.
Yeah.
Whack.
Catholic school? Ooh.
Corporal punishment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Google it, people.
Yeah.
Google it. Corporal punishment.
Well, I remember one time a teacher did that to me. My mother came up there and she walked in that classroom, and in front of the whole class, she told the teacher, she said, if you put your hands on my son one more time, I'm going to come up here and kick your fucking ass.
Ooh.
And it was like,
Ooh, man.
and the whole class was like, ooh. It was the, ooh.
You guys were lucky. My dad made us take judo. He goes, andale, mendigos. We had to do judo so we could defend ourselves.
Wow. Yeah. I took a karate for a summer
Oh, man.
because I saw the Karate Kid and I'm
Yeah.
like, Mom, and
Yeah.
my mom's like, de veras, really?
In
The
Long
next
Beach?
thing I know, yeah, I was taking
Long
karate
Beach.
in Long Beach, and I'm like, yes, I can defend myself.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah, exactly. And no, I still, yeah.
So let me ask you a question. When did funny or comedy really come out in you, or
Yep.
was it always there?
I know that I was drawn to it when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
When I was 10 years old, I saw Eddie Murphy Raw
Mm-hmm.
on VHS.
Yep.
It was the Netflix of our day. Yeah,
Yes.
it was a
That's
cassette
right.
tape
Yeah.
this big.
Yeah.
It was like, you think about it now, how much could you put on a device this big,
Right.
like
Mhm.
of information? And back then it was just 1 2-hour movie.
Yep, that was it.
And that was my babysitter. I'm
Okay.
10 years old. My mom went to go play bingo. And she's like, what movie you want
Aw.
to see? And then I'm just pointing. And, back then, if you go to a local video store, nobody said, hey, that kid probably shouldn't be watching that.
Mhm.
I mean, you knew
Yeah.
that if the kid walked behind the curtain made out of beads,
Oh,
that they
yeah.
were going into a place that you probably shouldn't go back there.
Yeah.
But otherwise, everything else was fair game. And so
Yeah.
I wound up watching this tape with Eddie Murphy, and I fell in love. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I loved his presence and all the voices and the
Mhm.
characters and the laughter. And he had everyone's attention, and you couldn't stop laughing. And I would watch it over and over and over and over. And that's when I got the bug
Mhm.
for comedy. I wound up doing a school talent show, and I basically mimicked Eddie Murphy doing voices. It was impressions of Eddie
Wow.
Murphy doing impressions of other people. And it went over.
Wow.
Wow.
It went over, and I'm like, all right. And I said, okay, I'm onto something. I love
Mhm.
this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I
Mhm.
want to do it.
Yeah.
You realized you had the power of humor.
I still didn't know I was funny, though.
Mhm.
I knew that it
Mm.
was entertaining, but I didn't
Right.
know that it was comedy yet.
Yeah.
At the time, I was also a big fan of this gentleman by the name of Rich Little.
Oh,
Rich
yeah.
Little was a big
God.
Oh,
impressionist.
yeah.
He was an
Uh-huh.
impressionist.
Uh-huh.
So even though
Yep.
his jokes weren't always on point,
Yeah.
the quality and just how close he came to the people's
voice.
voices was
Mhm.
so spot
Mhm.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And fortunately, I got to meet him a couple months ago.
Oh.
He's like, oh my
How
God,
old is he?
he's pushing, I want to say his mid 80s.
80s. Yeah, I was about
Yeah,
to
and he was
say
doing a
this.
show in Vegas, and I
Wow.
found out. And
Oh,
unfortunately,
man.
the first thing I said was, "He's still alive." And so I'm like, "Oh my God!"
I was
And so
thinking
I told some friends, I go, "Let's go see him. Let's go see him." And we went, and they told him I was there, which I
Right.
thought was cool. And he called me out, and then we
Oh,
took pictures afterwards. And I
wow.
go, "I just want to say, there's a lot of people that influenced me, and I always give credit to Eddie Murphy, but I used to watch." Rich Little do
Yeah.
Right.
impressions, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I love the way he does those.
He was
Yeah.
on Carson a lot, remember?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot,
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
That's like legendary.
So again, I thought that I was just really good with the voices, but I didn't know that I was really doing comedy yet. The first joke I told on stage as a kid was, and somebody gave me the joke backstage. It was cute. 10 years old, I walk on stage and I said, "Why did the chicken cross the road?" And then I said, "To check out the chicks." And you know what? When you're 10, you kill. When
Yeah,
you're
that
10.
is
That's a
cute.
killer joke.
Yeah.
It's very
That
cute.
is so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, you say that now, you're like, he's a creep. He's a creepy guy.
So your comedy heroes, who are you? Like, I know you said Rich, Eddie, like your real
Eddie Murphy,
influences.
Robin Williams, those two right
Yeah.
there. Definitely.
Yeah. So that means that you watch a lot of
A lot of their specials. back
TV,
then.
Mork and Mindy.
I did. I
Yeah.
watched a lot of Mork and Mindy.
What TV shows did you like as a kid growing up?
My favorite show growing up as a kid was Three's Company.
Yeah.
I just love the dynamics of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
was such
you
a
know?
great show.
And a show like that couldn't even happen now because everything
No, it
is
couldn't.
just so different. And
Yep.
it's like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of those shows,
Yeah.
like Seinfeld. I watch Seinfeld all the time, and
Yeah.
you can't get away saying some of this stuff and
Well,
making fun of people.
yeah.
And,
Well, I mean, when you think of the 70s and 80s, I mean, like now, like you said, I mean, everything
All
be
in the Family.
considered- It'd be
Yep.
all
The Jeffersons.
considered.
yep, all of that.
Like
offensive.
those shows were just, they
Yeah.
go for
Yep.
it. And
Yeah.
you're like, ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Like those shows, they couldn't be on primetime TV.
No.
You'd have to
Mhm.
have those like on HBO Max
Mhm.
Yep.
on a Friday after 1 a.m. You know?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's the truth.
That's right.
It's the truth. Just because, I mean, the jokes, they were great. I mean, they were the funniest. They were some of the best.
Mm.
So let me ask you, when did you, or what age were you when you said, okay, I'm going to, or what was your first gig? Like
Mhm.
first real gig as a comedian?
The first time I actually called myself a comic was
Mhm.
April 10th of 1997. That's when I went up on stage, and it was in Long Beach. And
Okay.
a friend of mine had pushed me up on stage because they needed an MC, and I'd always talked about wanting to be a
Mhm.
comedian, but I never did anything about it.
Mhm, mhm.
And here was a stage, a chance, a show, and it wasn't even a lot of people, but they needed somebody, and my friend physically put, because I was so scared. And so going up there, and probably 3 of the most terrifying minutes of my life, but at the end I was like a roller coaster. I can't
Yeah.
wait to do that again.
Yeah.
Wow.
And fortunately for me, there was a guy in the crowd who booked comedy shows. What are the chances that there's
Oh,
a
man.
person who books comedy shows at the very first gig you do?
Oh, wow.
And so he goes, "Hey man," he goes, "if you come back here to the same spot," he goes,
Yeah.
"I have a comedy night on, Wednesdays."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I'll pay you $20." He goes, "Can you do 10 minutes?" I'm like, I lied. That was my first big lie in show
Yeah.
business. Yes, I can do 10 minutes. And I'm like, I gotta come up with another 7 minutes by next
Oh,
Wednesday.
shit. That's a long ass time,
But
man.
yeah, just so I did it the following week, and
Wow.
I had to do a lot of crowd work to kill the
Mhm.
time. But
Yeah.
that was my first paid gig. It was a week later
Wow.
Wow.
after starting.
Wow.
And you were how old?
Let's see, I was 20.
20.
Wow.
So humor has opened quite a bit of doors, stopped people from bullying you. And having that sense of humor, I know it made you popular in school. Did you find that you had this power once you were in school?
None
and
of
you
it,
were,
no, I didn't have any of
you,
this in
you
school.
you didn't have any of that,
Well-
making kids laugh, so they wouldn't like come and beat you up, try to.
Well, a couple of things happened. One, I grew up, so
Mhm.
I'm not the biggest guy in the world, but I mean, I'm big enough to where people won't try to
Right.
Mess with you.
Well,
try to
it.
mess with me. So that
Right.
Secondly, I had gotten into speech.
Mm,
I got
mm.
on the speech team,
Mhm.
and basically, it was a lot of fun for me because I hate writing stuff down. I
Mhm.
hate taking pen and paper, and and it's not that I can't read.
Mhm.
It's just it's work.
Mhm.
Right.
So- In speech, they encouraged you to get in front of the class.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to get up in front of the class, you would earn a certain amount of points.
Mhm.
And every day, somebody different would want to get in front of the class to
Mhm.
talk about whatever.
Right.
And every day, I was the first one,
Mhm.
and I wound up passing the class without ever once having to turn in a written assignment because all of my points came from getting in front of the class.
And speaking.
And it was the only class that I had an A in, whereas everything else was kind of like,
So
Wow.
see, that was his forte. He
Yeah.
knew that, public speaking and
I got really strong in that class
Mhm.
and very comfortable with getting in front of people.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was the biggest hurdle because once I was comfortable with silence,
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah.
Right.
And little did you know it would set you up
Yes,
for where
it
you
was
where you were
training.
about to go.
Mhm.
It was training. It was my comedy internship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then everybody in the beginning was like, "Wow, man, you're really catching on to this pretty quick."
Mhm.
Within 3 months, I was already on the road doing stand up,
Yeah.
and they're
Wow.
like, like, they're looking at me like, what? And I'm like, well, I took speech in high school. And
Mhm.
everybody's like, oh man, I should have taken speech in high school. Well, it helps.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
definitely.
So the comedy wasn't that intimidating than being, doing your
No,
comedy on
'cause-
stage because you were already
The biggest hurdle
Public
is
speaking.
getting used to being in front of people.
Yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
then also the silence. There's a lot of times where new comics will rush through the material because they just want to get to the punchline. So,
Mhm.
okay, as long as you get in the laugh, you're okay.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people forget if people are quiet in the room, that means they're listening.
Mhm.
So just keep doing what you're doing and
Yeah.
hope that they have enough faith in you to just keep listening and taking it in until you hit them with the punchline. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's the back and forth.
Yeah.
It's the dance.
What do you consider was your big break?
There's been a lot of big breaks.
Okay.
I can't just give credit to one thing.
Okay.
It's just been steps and
Mhm.
levels, like a video game.
Yeah.
Oh, we beat the first boss. Now let's move on to
Yeah.
Right.
to
Yeah.
the next level. Definitely that first show that I did
Mhm.
was the biggest break because if that
Mhm.
one show doesn't happen, we're not having this conversation. So
Right.
that was probably the biggest break right there, was getting up on stage and doing it for the first time.
Yeah.
I want to say that my first television show happened later that year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a show on Comedy Central
Mhm.
called Make Me Laugh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And the person who wound up becoming my first manager was the booker on that show, a
Okay.
woman by the name of Pat Buckles.
Mhm.
Okay.
And she booked me for the show. And basically, the whole premise of it is you got 1 minute, I think it was a minute or 30 seconds, to make a person laugh
Yeah.
in a chair.
Yeah.
And it's a game show where they're going to get paid to not laugh.
Right.
You're going to get paid to make them laugh.
Right.
Right.
And so you're both competing, and it's one-on-one with an audience around you.
Yeah.
And I was able to crack like 3 of the 4 contestants, or 2
Wow.
of the 3 contestants.
Yeah.
I know I got the majority. And they're like, hey, you want to do another episode? I'm like, yeah. So then
Wow.
first television credit, second television credit, and third television credit
Mhm.
happened on the same day.
Whoa.
So I did 3 episodes. And
Isn't
I
that
remember
incredible?
they gave me a check from cast and crew, and I had never seen money like that
Right.
Mhm.
for a couple hours worth of work. I'm
Yeah.
like, who do I gotta kill for this? It was a lot. And then I started playing the math game. I'm like, if I could do a TV show like this every day, and then I
Mhm.
started coming up with all these crazy numbers because I had a calculator, and I'm just like, I drove myself crazy.
Oh my God. No, you're,
But that was one. That was my first TV credit.
Yeah.
And then once I had a TV credit under my belt, I started going out on the road.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
comedy, clean, surreal humor, self-deprecation, satire. How did that come about?
Well, when I first started doing stand-up, I was very dirty. I was filthy. I mean, filthy. I
Yes.
was doing nothing but impressions of cartoons having sex. Funny, but you can only do that really at a bar or somewhere that's
Right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't material that you could take on a Tonight Show. It wasn't
Yeah.
material you could do
Right.
for corporate events or places where you could really earn a living.
Mhm.
A comic by the name of Joey Medina pulled me aside and he said, you don't need to cuss to be funny.
Mhm.
And it's kind of ironic because he's super filthy himself. But he goes, if you work clean,
Yeah.
more opportunities will present themselves.
Yeah.
And then if you're
Mm.
working clean already, you don't have to edit your show.
Mhm.
You're just doing what you're always doing.
Right.
Mhm.
And that was the best advice ever because once I did start getting those opportunities,
Yeah.
my show was already
Mhm.
set. I didn't have to edit for TV. I
Right.
was ready for TV.
Right.
Right.
And so, that was the biggest, that was another thing too, is getting that advice.
Right.
Best advice I ever got.
Wow. You started having your comedy specials
Mm-hmm.
televised. What was your first one?
Comedy Central, half-hour comedies. I forget what they were called. They had a name for the half-hour specials.
Okay.
But this
Mhm.
was like in 2000, 2001.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was a 30-minute special.
Okay.
And we taped it in New York City.
Oh,
The
wow.
Hudson Theater. I remember that.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. And then that after that, I know you've done numerous since then.
Yeah.
What's your biggest one?
Coming up on special number, was it 8 now?
Wow.
Yeah.
I know this is hot and fluffy. I'm not fat, I'm fluffy. You've got like
Good,
mystery.
good branding. If you haven't noticed, I found a gimmick. I found something that worked for me early on. And fortunately, I was hanging out with some very outside the box thinkers.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So when I had the nickname, a gentleman by the name of Jim Whitby out of El Paso, Texas,
Mhm.
who was very big into like collectibles and into it wasn't even social media at the time. He was just really good at coding and developing websites and stuff like that. And he told me, he goes, you know what, if you start building up this algorithm of your name Fluffy and getting it into the systems, he goes, eventually, anytime that word pops up, you're going to be associated with it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it got to the point where I branded it so freaking hard that I am the number one search for the word Fluffy in the world. And it doesn't matter what site you go on. I challenge anyone. Just try it real quick. Just try it. Go on your phone, type in Fluffy.
Love it.
And I promise you, I come before quilts, comforters, cotton candy, bunnies, any other fluffy thing you could think of. I've branded it so hard
that
people think I own the word.
Smart.
But it's like if right?
Brilliant. Yeah.
Told you. It's crazy. And so it's like, it's the perfect thing. So when people say, how can I get a hold of you? I say, Google Fluffy. They're like, what?
Damn.
Trust me.
That is
Trust
so
me. It's the
awesome.
Fluffy challenge. But so stuff like that. A lot of people think that it was always a show, but a lot of times big breaks came from people that I met along the way that were very instrumental in helping to show me new things.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people think, oh, it's just the show, or it's just the exposure to this or that. Exposure to great information is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so social media was one of those things that I needed to get into in order for new things to happen, because you can only depend on Hollywood to provide you so much.
That's right.
Unless you're selected. Because I do feel like there's a selection process there. And if you're not part of that group, then, you know, you got to just settle for scraps or do your own thing.
Yeah.
And so once you realize that, you know, social media like YouTube, that's a place where you can create content and put it out there to the world, and you have total control over it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was one. I remember when I performed overseas, people wouldn't say, "Oh, I saw you on Comedy Central or HBO or anywhere else." They'd say, "I see you on the YouTube. I see you on the YouTube."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, on the YouTube.
Yeah.
I see you on the YouTube."
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question. Out of the comedy specials you've done thus far, have you done one yet that you think is your raw, is your kind of that pivotal to where things just kind of went pew?
I think every special had a message and a direction that I went in, and people gravitate towards certain specials because of one made them it was real silly and it was funny and cute and made them laugh.
Yeah.
Or a special that had a great message to it. Like when I did a special called Aloha Fluffy, I told this 30-minute story about performing in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia. And it was during a time when, like, really? You went over there? You hung out with them? You did that? You did. So I felt like it was a great message to say, like, you can't just listen to the news.
Right.
You know, I went there for myself, and this was my experience.
Yeah.
And it was such where I wasn't painting, you know, people over there like monsters or the way that, you know, oh, they're all terrorists, they're all bombed, they're all this, or all that. I'm like, no, I'm hanging out. Everyone was nice. Everyone treated me with respect. Everyone was this. Everyone was that.
That's beautiful.
This was the thing. And so I thought that it was something nice to put out where I'm like, everybody's just doing the, you know, the complete opposite. They're just doing all the, oh yeah, TSA, oh, you got bombed. Like they're doing all that.
Right.
And I'm over here sharing this story that resonated so well, not just with that community, but with a lot of different people. And so I got so many thank yous. Like, wow, I appreciate you telling that story. And it's like, you know, so now when I go over there, are you kidding? Like Elvis.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's sweet. It reminds me of like albums. When you do albums, right? You record, you sing. They're always like stories. So it reminds me of you telling bits. Every special is a piece of your life, your family, your jokes, and there's continuity. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and then every special too, of course, there's more experiences that have happened. So like the first one was just, let me just make people laugh.
Right.
Second one was sharing stories about me being in Texas. And that was El Paso, Texas was the first city I went to that gave me the opportunity to work at clubs and grow an audience. And so there's a lot of messages in there and thank yous to the city in there. And then the third one, Aloha Fluffy, was that whole, let me tell you about this. And then after that, it was off to the races. Then I did the Fluffy movie and we performed in an arena, which was insane because I had only seen, you know, Andrew Dice Clay or back in the day performing at an arena.
Yeah.
You don't really hear about comics. And so, so I did that one there. And then the one in Chicago, another arena, and then just more stories. And this is what's happening in my life now.
Yeah. You're the
Incredible.
only comic to ever sell out Dodger Stadium, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we saw that. That
That's
is
monumental.
I know.
So that for me was like, wow, okay. All
That's
right.
beautiful.
And
Congratulations.
it was the greatest homecoming show ever because I feel
Wow.
like for some reason making it at home is probably one of the hardest things. People always
Yeah.
appreciate you and what you do
Yeah.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
And trying to get love at home is like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the hardest
Yeah,
one.
but we're
And so-
we're your family
Yeah.
here, you
but
know.
you know, the home is attached to the love, but it's also attached to the pain, and it's also attached to all those other things. So yeah, making it at home is like
Yeah,
That's
so that was the
amazing.
biggest thing I ever did, and I did it within a 30-minute drive to my bed. So I kept telling people, I go, well, if it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't go well, at least it's a short drive home.
Man.
You had a series as well on Netflix, Mr. Iglesias.
Yes, Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
I named it that because I figured Fluffy was already popular, so I
Right.
said, let me work on the other names.
Yeah.
You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
And
That
it's
was
funny
cool.
because when I first started, I thought that my name was already famous. I figured Iglesias. That's
Right.
Julio.
Right.
When you hear Iglesias, you think of Julio
Julio,
Iglesias.
yeah.
And I'm
right.
like, okay, that's a famous name.
Yeah.
And my first name is Gabriel, and there had
Yeah.
only been one other Gabriel that was famous, which was Gabe Kaplan.
Yep.
Right.
Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yep.
Yep.
And so I said, I just got to work on the Gabriel part, and I'll be okay. And then
Yeah.
I did a joke about being Fluffy,
Right.
and then people forgot my whole name altogether. And so they just started calling me Fluffy, Fluffy, Fluffy,
Yeah.
Fluffy, Fluffy. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and I hated it. I hated it so bad. But then once I learned to embrace it, that's why you can go online and
Yeah.
Mr. Iglesias was a principal.
Oh,
school.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So the TV show is based on the idea that if I didn't become a comic,
Mm-hmm.
because I was actually offered the opportunity to be a school teacher.
Yeah.
And they were going to pay
Uh-huh.
for everything as long as I agreed to come back and teach in the Long Beach Unified School District.
Mm.
Okay.
And so it was a great opportunity. And everybody was like, you're stupid to not take it. But I'm like, I already knew that there was something else I wanted
Right.
to do. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to overcommit to something
That's right.
and then feel bad for not following through.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Woodrow Wilson. It was Woodrow Wilson High School,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah. And that's a school there.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I want to say that they tried to erase the Woodrow part,
Mm.
president. Can't erase the
Mm.
past, unfortunately.
No. So speaking of Fluffy, I read one thing that and first of all, let me say that you're looking pretty good nowadays. I mean, you've lost some weight. You look really good.
It's the haircut.
I'm
I'm streamlined. I'm sitting up straight. I'm wearing black.
You look fabulous.
I'm wearing black.
He's glamorous.
But I was laughing about your 5 levels of fatness. And
Oh, that's an old bit. The
and then
5
you got
levels,
to the 6th.
that was the next special. It was a continuation.
Too
I always tell
funny.
people there's big, healthy, husky, fluffy, and damn. And so,
Oh shit, man.
Oh man.
and that's another thing too with the specials is that I tell everyone all my specials. It's been one long, continuous story
Mhm.
since 2007
Yeah.
because it's all the same people involved and basically just updates.
yeah.
Right.
I tell people I'm the ghetto version of the Avengers. And so it's like it's all woven in, it's all tied in. And
I love
yes, I have
it.
new stories, but it's new adventures, and that's what's going on. Because I don't
Yeah.
really write jokes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't do jokes.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
no I try not to get political
Yeah.
or topical
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
then it ages out, you know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
So
I
you just ad lib.
share stories.
You tell your stories.
Well, I mean, you've done movies. You did your own movie. You were in Magic Mike.
Live
1 and
action
2.
Magic Mike. I saw
I know
that.
right now people are like, he was in Magic.
Mike, yeah.
I wasn't naked. I was the only one that kept his clothes on. You're
We
welcome.
were like, damn, he didn't wear a
You're
thong.
welcome. Yeah, no, it's
Thongy
Magic Mike.
thong.
No, not tragic Mike. You don't need it. Me and a thong.
Oh,
No,
you're so
that's-
bad.
That's not good.
And you even did a reality show, Fluffy Breaks Even. That was
Yes, I actually forgot
Yep.
about that. When you said reality show, I'm like, what show
Yeah.
did I do?
yeah. And then it was later named.
It was a food show. I'll tell you, it was the greatest idea
Oh,
I thought
man.
at the time.
all right.
It was during when everybody had a cool food show.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
You had the guy that was out there trying to eat everything,
Mhm,
right? You had
mhm.
the Diners Drive-Ins with Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
And all these other shows.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, how cool would it be to, because we're always eating at restaurants. We're always on the road.
Definitely.
So that's half the battle. So I says, how about a show where you go out, you eat, and then you tally up the amount of calories you just ate. And then at the end of that, you got to figure out a workout to try to burn all that off. So the concept was
Wow.
Fluffy breaks even. So,
Right. Okay.
it was to show people when you eat, You eat like a, you guys are cussing, so I'm gonna cuss too. If you eat like an asshole,
Right.
then you got to work out to compensate. And so we're trying to show how hard do you have to work out to burn off what it was.
Yeah.
And it sounded like a great idea, but after the first workout, I was like, you know what? I think I'll just eat a salad on the next episode. I'm gonna drink water for that next round.
Yeah.
That workout started getting too crazy, and then nobody could pass the physical, so we had to change the name of the show to Fluffy's Food Adventures, and then we just killed the workouts, and it was like, hey, we're just gonna eat.
I love that.
Yeah.
I got to remember that next time, eating like an asshole.
Yeah.
I love that. I got to eat like an asshole.
Eating like an asshole.
Well, see,
as soon as you say that, you're like, oh, I know what you did.
Well, it's funny because I've been pretty close to damn myself. So I know how that is, when food is so good though.
He's a foodie, yeah. He's a
so
great,
good.
He could cook.
But boy,
man.
it can mess you up.
Mr. Seth
too,
could cook.
There's always consequences, but I love to eat.
So,
And I've been close to damn.
he was Speedy Gonzalez in Space Jam. And I have to, Coco, oh my God. I love that movie.
Me too.
I loved it. It made me cry.
I cried in the first 5 minutes of that movie.
Yep. My mother's nickname was Coco, and she passed away from dementia.
Well, my father was a real mariachi singer, and that whole opening scene where the dad was singing, and then the fight between the mom and him, and then he left.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was my painful part. I'm like, that's my life.
Yeah. Oh my
He was out of
God.
the picture. Everybody else cried at the end with Mama Coco, and I was like, no, at the beginning. That's what I got. Oh my God, that was my dad. Yeah, mariachi.
That
Wow.
was remarkable. I'm so proud that you did that.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of
I'm
fun.
getting choked up.
That's one of those
that.
that after I'm long gone, and my voice will still be there in that movie. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That was just incredible.
Anytime you can get in good with the mouse, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, there
Speedy
you go.
Speedy Gonzalez is just...
That's a different mouse.
Yeah, no, you're talking. You're with the
about
family.
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse, yeah.
He's a part of the family, Disney family.
Yeah.
Once you get in there.
Yeah. But Speedy Gonzalez, when I saw that, I was like, see, that's my childhood.
Yep.
Looney Tunes and that kind of thing. I saw that. I was like, oh shit, he was Speedy Gonzalez. So, and that was just great. I loved it.
You've done so many. You were like the king. You could just retire on doing the voiceovers because The Book of Life, Planes, Fire and Rescue, Ferdinand, Ugly Dolls, A Pause and Fury, The Nut Job, Maya and the Three, Norm of the North, The Star, Smurfs, The Lost Village, Scooby-Doo, Family Guy, Fox, Ice Age.
You did a whole family on Family Guy,
Yep.
right?
El Americano.
One check.
You're like the Mel.
They had me play like 4 different voices on Family
You got
Guy.
one check.
Oh man.
We need 4 different Mexican voices. So it's like, orale, 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 orale. Yeah, I was like, all right.
You're like the Latino Mel Blanc.
There you go.
Yeah. Mel Blanc was, well-known voiceover genius, legend, and you're in everything. This is so great. I am so happy
that is
for
proof
you.
that I don't know how to say no.
Damn.
I'm like that movie Yes Man. Those are all opportunities, and voiceover work is fun for me. So it's like I don't have to memorize the script. I don't have to show up. There's no hair and makeup. I show up. They usually have great snacks. There's sodas and waters. They have a craft services kitchen, and all right, walk in. Everyone's glad you're there.
Wow.
And then you do your thing, and then. Sometimes I can record from home because I have my own studio at home, and then sometimes I go to wherever it is they need me to go. But it's a lot of fun, and then you can say you were part of a movie. And if it does well, you blow it up. And if it doesn't do well, you're like, oh no, you misunderstood. That wasn't my voice. I was not part of that. You're crazy.
Oh man, from that, I mean everything.
But it's fun. Like it's comedy and then voiceover work. And then acting and movies and television shows is distant. Like a distant third. Yeah. Like I mean it's cool to say you're doing it. Yeah. But it's work. Yeah. And I'm done working.
You cracked me
I just want to have fun.
You were talking about the vaccine and you said, LOL, I eat chorizo. So you're like,
oh,
someone
told me because I said that I got the vaccine, and they're like, "Oh my God, you have any idea what you just put in your body?" And I was like, "Bitch, I eat chorizo."
Oh man! So
like, you have no idea what's going on in here. What's brewing? All the years of bad choices stacking up.
You're booked all the way till December 2023, from what I saw.
Pretty much, yeah.
All of everything that you're doing, you are booked.
I have a really good agent and manager, and they're constantly keeping me busy. If anything, I got to work on taking time off, and they don't like that part. I get it.
But you need
But
to take some time off for
Gotcha.
yourself and self-care and travel a little bit, come up with other new
you know what's
material
funny?
from your
I
travel.
actually hate traveling.
No.
I hate it.
You're like the reluctant traveler.
Well, I'm always on a plane.
Have you seen
Yeah.
that
I'm
show?
always on a plane, always at a hotel, always on the go, and I'm like, oh, if I don't have to see
yeah.
another airplane terminal.
Yeah.
Watch the show Eugene Levy.
Oh,
It's
I know
called
Eugene. Okay.
The Reluctant Traveler. He's the same. He's like, I hate traveling. I don't want to go. I don't want to go in a hotel room. I don't want to sleep in anything other than my own bed. That's because you travel all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
And you probably love home.
I
Yeah.
love
You
when
love
I'm home. I
home.
love being home.
your own
Yeah.
bed,
I
your own
like that.
mattress.
If anything, I like taking drives.
Yeah.
And then it's just, it's in the car, got
Where do you go?
playlist. I just drive around town.
Yeah.
And my favorite time to drive is like late at night, so
Yeah.
that there's no traffic.
Yeah.
So I'll drive around LA. If people see me in the car like at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not up to no good. That's just a good time to drive because I'm trying to avoid traffic.
That sounds great. That sounds
I
great.
load up the car with the puppies. We'll go hit I'll have a destination. Like there's a couple of 24-hour McDonald's in
Yeah.
Studio City. And so I'll drive from Long Beach to Studio City and just go hit that drive-through, and then we'll camp out in the parking lot for like 30 minutes, and I'll give chicken nuggets to the dog. It's just peaceful.
Right.
There's no one out. And I'm in
Right.
the car, got the AC going, got the playlist. It's cool.
And not
That's-
stuck
I love
on the
doing stuff like
405.
Yeah.
Not stuck
And
on
you're
the
not
405.
stuck in traffic because
Yeah.
traffic, oh man, it's like I
LA.
have horrible thoughts in traffic. That's what brings out the evil.
Yeah. Right.
That's why I was tired of auditions. I'm like,
Yeah.
ugh. Gotta go sit in that. And you show up and then you're like, state your name. I'm like, you know what I had to go through? And I was
Just
always
to get
running
here.
late. And I was like, oh my God, I hated it.
Oh man, auditions. Yep.
So, as you were talking about your pups have become famous kind of in their own right?
Yeah. We had a question, right?
And you gave a very, what's become probably a very iconic quinceañera.
Quinceañera.
Yes.
Yes. Tell us about
How
that.
did that happen?
That's so cool.
Whose idea was it? Yours?
It was my idea.
Okay.
I threw my Chihuahua Risa,
Oh.
epic quinceañera. It's a quinceañera that will rival any quinceañera. Period. I'm like, because I've had some people tell me, oh, I threw my dog quinceañera too. I got her a cake and I got her this and that. I'm like, yeah, no. We're not the same.
No.
Oh my
This is
God.
different.
A couple things happened. One, I wanted to throw myself a big party to celebrate the Dodger Stadium performance. I
Yes.
felt like, you know what, this is a big accomplishment.
Yep.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
throw myself a party.
Yeah.
Never threw the party. I just went back to work.
Yeah.
But one day I'm on TikTok and I saw this guy who threw his Chihuahua a quinceañera in Mexico.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, oh my God. It was a dance floor. Everyone's dressed up. And I'm like, I says, you know
Wow.
what? There's no way he loves his dog more than I love my dog.
Yeah.
So I said, challenge accepted. So I already had the budget set aside for my party.
Uh-huh.
So I just basically made the party about my dog instead of about myself.
Right.
And I went for it.
It was off the hook.
There was about 400 people there. There was
Wow.
a dance floor, open bar. There was a band, a
Oh,
DJ.
man.
We had Cirque du Soleil performers.
No.
Yes, Cirque du Soleil performers.
Oh
And
man.
an animal act. We hired an animal act to come out and do. He does tricks with chihuahuas. I met him on another TV show. But yeah, it was an incredible party. We had Build-A-Bear stations. We had a caricature
What?
artist. We had games like carnival
Yeah,
games.
yeah.
It was incredible.
Wow.
And everybody that I invited, I said, hey, look, it's a party for my dog.
Mhm.
You could take pictures, you could take video. Just don't record or take pics of me. It's not about me.
Right.
Mhm.
And one person didn't listen, and they
Oh.
posted it online,
Oh no.
and the video went viral.
Everywhere.
And then I took and I tried to control the narrative on it. So
Uh-huh.
I took that video, then I posted it on my social media, and then it just went.
Crazy.
It was only a 15-second video, but you can see in those 15
Right.
seconds
Yes.
that this was not a day at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
This was
Right.
like legit.
Yeah.
And so I started getting phone calls from all these morning shows.
Oh my
Everybody wanted to
God.
talk about this incredible party that was thrown for a 4-pound
Yeah.
dog. And then it became a thing when people started asking how much I spent.
Yeah.
And then it became more about the money than me doing something
Oh,
nice.
yeah.
And
Your
then,
money.
of course, you got to take the good with the bad or the bad with the good.
Yeah.
So
That's social media
I started
today.
getting beat up.
Oh man.
It's your money.
Yeah. I mean, you work for
Excuse
it.
me.
Yeah.
Your money.
You
So-
work for it. You could spend it how you wish.
However you want.
But then you get the do you know what you could do? I mean, well, out the gate though. I mean, people can be mean.
Yep.
One guy was like, how dare you? how dare you throw away all that money on a stupid dog? And it's like,
Oh.
and like, really, how that's my heart right there. You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, man.
Just
Yeah.
people are, welcome to getting bullied on social media. So I get it
Yeah,
all.
and so I'm like,
I get it all the time, and I'm like, whatever. I've been called whatever you name it. So it's just part of the territory, right?
Yeah.
It thickens your skin a little bit.
Yep. So before we wrap this up, we have a segment that I call 10 grown ass questions.
It's
I
fun.
love it already. I love it already. This does not sound like the norm. And I welcome
right.
challenging questions. This is awesome.
Awesome.
All right. So
10 grown ass questions.
Grown
All right.
ass. Tell me one thing about you that most people don't know.
One thing about me. Believe it or not, off stage, I'm actually very, very quiet. I'm a better listener, I feel, and I turn it on when I need to turn it on. It's not to say that it's fake. I just, I pick and choose. Like, I love silence. I love being at peace. And so if I'm around people, I'm usually the quietest one in the room.
Wow.
I'm not trying to be the Mr. 24-hour attention.
Yeah.
That's exhausting. I know comics like that, and I'm like, no. So I'm actually very quiet, and I'm a really good listener.
Wow.
Ladies, good listener. Good listener.
It's a good balance, though.
And that's a compliment that I've gotten a couple of times. Like, wow, you're a really good listener.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sorry, do people cut you off a lot? Like, all the time. I'm like, sorry. So yeah, I enjoy silence, and I'm a good listener.
That's great. What has been the most rewarding part about being you?
Cash.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. He's such a hoe. No. There's been so many different things. Because, I mean, I literally live within 5 blocks of where I grew up.
Yeah.
And so I can see how much my life has changed. Not just from, living in an apartment to living where I live now, or not because of the car that I had then, or, the car that was almost repossessed a couple times to what I have now. It's more so like I've been able to experience so much.
Yeah.
I've been able to see and meet so many different people. And I think that's been huge. And that would not be possible if I didn't do this for a living.
Yeah.
Every day I have an opportunity to meet very interesting people, go out, do things. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But at the end of the day, it adds to the stories.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just this whole circle where it's like, for some reason, the worse things go for me, the better it goes for me on stage. Nobody wants to hear about me having a good time. They want to hear about, what happened to you?
Right.
Yeah. That's just funny. Yeah. If your life is all good, that's when you get haters.
Yeah.
It's when you got some complaints, some issues. But the rewarding part again has just been the amount of exposure to the world.
Yeah.
I've been able to experience a lot of the world, and I know not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
On the flip side, what's been the most challenging part about being you?
I think me dealing with myself, because I think that at the end of the day, we all want to be loved and accepted, and knowing that you can't, accepting the fact that you cannot make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I try, and I'm a pleaser. I always want to try to please everyone, and it sucks when you can't, and you've tried, and you've tried to think about what can I do to make this person happy, and at the end, some you will, some you won't, some it's temporary, some it's long lasting.
Yeah.
But at the end, I just realized, all right, I got to just work on myself.
Right.
Because you cannot please everyone.
Sure can't.
And that is very challenging. That's very difficult.
What has been so far, what do you think has been your highest career point to date?
Definitely the Dodger Stadium performance.
Yeah.
Performing in front of 50,000 people and having Netflix record it and airing it around the world for people to see.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to have an incredible accomplishment, the biggest thing you've ever done. It's another when someone documents it and allows the world to see it.
Yes.
Right.
Like, really? Like, the biggest thing I've ever done is going to live on this network forever.
Forever.
Or until Amazon buys them.
That's right.
I don't know. But that's been the coolest part, where it's like, I've already gotten messages from all over the world.
Yeah.
People seeing that, and
That was
then
a great
also
show.
too, there was a lot of messages on that special talking
Yes.
about, hey, if you have a dream, you got to go for it. Look and see what I did. I came
Mhm.
from X, Y, Z, and I'm standing right here talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'm telling everybody, like, if I can do this, what's to stop you from doing
Right.
that?
Yeah.
And if that resonates with one person and that gets them off the couch to chase their dream, then
It's worth it.
hey,
Awesome. Eso.
What has
Ah.
been, if you've had any, have you had any time in your career that you turned something down and you regretted it? Like, damn, I should have took that.
Relationships or work?
Oh,
either
There's
or both.
been a couple of those. I'm like, oh man, oh, and then you see who got your opportunity, and you're like, oh really? Oh, that's one more sting right there. With work, as far as career,
Yeah.
one of the this is probably the main reason why you see that list of voiceover.
Mhm.
That list is so big
Mhm.
because I literally I say yes to everything when it comes to voiceover work
Yeah.
because I just you're always throwing stuff at the wall
Yeah.
to
Right.
see what
See
sticks.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So I was asked to come and do some voices for a film, and at the time there was not really a lot of financial backing in
Yeah.
it. It was really early on,
Mhm.
and they said, "Well, it's a major part. It's a co-starring role in this film. We want you to do it. If you do it, we can pay you $700."
Mhm.
And if it grosses over, I think it was like if it grosses over 100 million, you
Mhm.
get back in and percentages and points and stuff like that. But I'm like, so I'm talking to my manager at the time,
Yeah.
and she's like, "This is stupid. It's like, who the hell's gonna watch? Excuse me, who the hell's gonna watch this?" And you're getting offers to go perform in Texas.
Yeah.
That during that time that they want you to shoot this.
Yeah.
And it's just, if you're doing it because you want to, but it's a waste of your time.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she convinced me to just pass on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I went to Texas and I made my chump change in comparison.
Uh-huh.
The movie that I passed on being in was called Happy Feet.
Oh.
I was not fucking happy that day.
Damn it.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss, but yeah,
No,
it was.
cuss all you want.
I was bitter.
Damn.
Oh,
Shit.
And then they had a
shit.
sequel. What?
Yes.
Shit. Oh.
Now, the only silver lining to not doing Happy Feet, not
Uh-huh.
doing that character,
Uh-huh.
was finding out who did.
Okay.
And the person who wound up doing the character
Uh-huh.
was Robin Williams.
Oh.
And so
Oh.
Robin Williams wound up doing a character that I passed on.
Wow.
Okay.
But
Wow.
clearly, by the time Robin Williams was in the mix, there was money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
Oh,
there was
yeah.
money there. Yeah,
And
that's a lot of
so-
money by that time.
Damn.
So yeah, I was
Damn.
playing a deli penguin,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
Wow.
man. But they're all coming back. Everything's coming at you.
oh, so
Are
anyway,
you kidding?
second time. So I says, all right, okay, learn your lesson. Don't assume that these voiceovers are a waste of time.
Yeah.
Look at them like a potential opportunity to do something big.
Yeah.
These movies, all these animated films, there's so many great films, and they do really, really well because
Yeah.
they play to families.
Yeah.
Another one that I did was a movie called Planes, Disney's Planes,
Yeah,
which was
Planes.
the answer to
Yeah.
Cars.
Yeah.
They wanted me to be the co-star. The co-star in that movie. Dane Cook was a star, and they wanted me to play this Mexican airplane. I'm like, I got this. Órale. Vamos, ahorita. And so I went in, I did the voice, the read, and they're like, "We love it, perfect. Yes, you're
Yeah.
in. It's yours.
Right.
This and
Yeah.
that." I'm like, "Okay, great." And they're like, "The studio wants a table read with all the people and the characters to sit, but we saw your schedule and we know you're working,
Mhm.
so we'll get a fill-in for you. It's your part."
Oh.
Yeah, you see where this is going.
Oh,
So I went back on the road to go hoe out, to go make that money so I can go buy another Volkswagen. And then while I was gone, they didn't just have a regular person come in and read my part. They brought in a pro to come in, a guy by the name of Carlos Elizraki. Now, Carlos Elizraki is the person responsible for the Taco Bell Chihuahua back in the day.
Oh,
The Yo
okay.
Quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And he's done hundreds of television shows. The guy has an incredible voice. Like,
Right.
my hat's off to him. His voice he's got way more range than I do. And so he goes in there and he blows it up. And
course.
the studio people are listening to him and they're like, who's this fluffy guy who can't even show up here?
Oh, no.
This guy's perfect. And so I got booted out of the part.
Oh, no.
Fortunately, they still had one part that hadn't been cast yet. And it's these two characters, Ned and Zed. They're twins.
Mhm.
And so then they called me and they said, "Well, you're out, but these two. They haven't cast these two. Would you be willing to play two characters?
Mhm.
And once again, they got me doing multiple characters for one check. And so I said, all right, I'll do it. And so I went in and, and I was just the whole time. And then they made me do press with Carlos. And the whole time he's talking about his character, I'm like, that should have been mine.
Yeah,
that was my
that was
shit.
mine.
That was
Yeah.
mine.
Oh man.
But again, another reason to motivate me to just, take the roles more serious, go in, do what you got to do, kill it, do whatever social media or whatever promotion they need.
Yeah.
And,
Damn.
at the end of the day, if people want to work with people that want to be
Right.
working with
Right.
you. Like
Yeah.
if you're a pain in the ass,
Yeah.
unless you're really selling that many tickets or that many people want to come out to see you, they don't want to put up with you.
Yep.
They'd
Yeah.
rather put up with someone nice.
Yeah.
Hey, you
It's
still
true.
go with the flow. Look at
Yeah.
that. He didn't.
Yep.
He didn't fuck up the whole pantry.
Yeah.
He only took 2 cookies. He wasn't. It's easy to get him on the phone. He's not fighting us to help promote the project.
Man, that's so right though. You know?
So saying again,
Yeah.
those two.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ugh,
Wow.
Damn.
but it
Those are
humbled
big
me.
ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think the biggest public misconception is about you?
That I'm always funny and that I'm always on.
Mhm.
That I'm always ha ha ho ho.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I mean, when I'm like upset or I'm depressed, and then I'm not gonna say depressed like it's a daily thing. I mean,
Yeah.
when I'm having a bad day,
Yeah.
I can be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a thing. I'm not gonna say that I've never been rude to people or say that I've never come across in a negative way because we're all human.
Right.
Yeah.
I do work hard to not put myself in situations.
Mhm.
So like if I know that I'm dealing with something, I try
Mhm.
not to go out in public.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
still get thirsty and I
Right.
still want my Starbucks. So I
Yeah.
go to Starbucks. And
Yeah.
if I get recognized, I got no problem turning it
Right.
on if somebody wants a photo or,
Right.
whatever. But then when they want videos or
Yeah.
the whole Starbucks comes outside, then it's like,
Yeah.
And then
that's
if I have
tough.
my dogs with me, my
Yep.
dogs are a thing too. Like if someone starts trying to touch the dogs,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
dog's 17. Just leave her alone.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And so I do have my moments. And
Mhm.
so unfortunately, I wish I could say that I was always happy and always
Mhm.
jovial and always great and
Yeah.
always jovial is a word I learned a long time ago. They use it to describe Santa.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, but people have their good days and bad days.
Yeah.
I've had the
Mhm.
opportunity to meet some celebrities and I've caught them on both.
Oh, wow.
And it helps you to understand that, we're all human.
Mhm.
Yeah.
True.
I met Shaq one time at the airport.
Yeah.
And then I met Shaq one time at a studio.
Yeah.
2 different Shaqs.
Yes.
Wow.
The one at
Yep.
the airport, and then I had to understand he's at the fucking airport.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's probably hungover because I know half the time when I'm at the airport, I'm hungover. and you got all these people coming at you, and so
Yeah.
all right, I get it,
Yeah.
Mm.
I get it. But yeah, I'm human. I got
Okay.
my moments.
Okay.
Cool.
A more random question. If sex were a food for you, what food would it be and why?
If sex were a food,
Yeah.
well, hold on, I'm trying to put 2 goods in one box here. And if sex were a food, what food would it be?
Yeah.
For me, like what's
Yeah.
my?
What's your?
Let's see what gets. God, bread. Bread is my
Bread.
hot fresh bread with like a little
Wow.
pat of butter
Mm.
with the sea salt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
like
man.
like a sourdough bread with the butter with the sea salt.
That's the jam.
Yeah. And then
I
if you
know.
got like the oil and vinegar on the side to do the little thing where you
Ooh,
rip it
yeah,
and do
yeah,
this,
yeah.
this shit.
Uh-huh.
Oh God,
Yeah. Yeah.
I love bread.
Oh, bread. Oh, man.
I would have said cheese, but I honestly think that bread is more addicting than cheese.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love cheese too.
Yeah.
Man.
If you could trade places with one person for a day, who would it be and why? Living or dead?
Trade places with one person
For one day,
for one day.
who would it be and why?
I would probably trade places with my ex
Mm.
just so I could try to finally understand her
Mm.
and see what she meant, what she was talking about, what she was feeling, what was, because it's always like you think you understand someone, you think you know someone, but do you really? Because a lot of times
Oh.
people are very controlled with
Mhm.
themselves and they don't want to let out certain things because they feel like they make themselves vulnerable.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be interesting to understand and see things from her perspective
Now that's deep.
to
Yeah.
understand like what she was dealing with, dealing with me.
Yeah.
Right.
So to do that
Wow.
swap for a day, pitching a new movie here.
Right. I
That's
love
deep.
it.
She's an
That's
awesome
deep.
person. Don't get me wrong. She's an awesome person.
That's
we're
beautiful,
great
though.
friends now. But yeah, it would be like, okay, if I could do one, all right.
That's
Wow.
deep.
Yeah, deep.
You should do a movie based on that.
Mm-hmm.
To husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, and somehow they switch bodies.
There's been a lot of those, the body swap movies, over the years.
Oh,
The father son,
Yeah.
mother-daughter.
But have they ever done it with husband and wife?
husband, wife, or
Or a
dude and his
boyfriend
ex.
and
Yeah,
girlfriend?
And fish out of water.
That'd
totally.
be interesting. Couple more, and we can wrap up. And this has been really great.
I know.
You seem like you're probably a really great friend. Somebody to just call and talk to. You just have that calming.
And another thing too,
We'll be calling you.
I always want to go get something to eat, so it's always like, "How you doing? I'm hungry, man. What you doing? I'm gonna pick you up. We're gonna."
All right, sounds like a plan.
We're always gonna go eat. That's
We'll take
me.
you out.
Okay.
We'll take you out.
That's me. I'm a great feeder.
Awesome. Awesome.
This one is we just started asking this question to our guests. As we can see, our royal badness is in back of us. Everybody seems to have a Prince story. Do you have a Prince story?
My story is actually someone else's story,
Okay.
but a really, really good friend of mine, and we've worked together in the past, but he's more of a friend and mentor and father figure, a man by the name of Ron de Blasio.
Okay.
Ron de Blasio, I won't say his age, but he's old enough to he's seen a lot. He's my oldest friend. Ron was actually the person who picked up Prince at the airport when he first came to Los Angeles from Minnesota.
That's where I know the
And
name.
He
Yeah.
actually he's shown me photos and told me stories about Prince staying at his house and teaching his daughter how to play piano when she was a little girl.
Mhm.
And he's got a picture of Prince at the piano.
Oh, that
Prince,
picture.
yes.
I know the picture
Yes.
you're
Yes.
talking
So
about.
Prince is teaching his daughter
Yep.
Yep.
how to play piano.
Wow.
And I'm
Yep.
like, you knew Prince that well? He's like, yeah, he's teaching my daughter the piano and slept at the house and plug my toilet, all that shit.
Oh,
It's like,
wow.
That's why I know that
that's-
name.
That picture is iconic. I mean, we're talking like 1978,
Mhm.
maybe 79 when he
Mhm.
first came
Yes,
out.
because his daughter and I are roughly the same age.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to drop that
And so,
picture in.
and so,
'cause I know
yeah.
the
So, I
picture.
mean, whenever he tells me a lot of amazing stories. He's been in
Yeah.
the music industry for a very long
Yeah.
time. But that one in particular, I'm just like,
Wow.
wow.
That's
Mm,
so
mm,
cool.
mm.
I remember seeing Prince at the Comedy Store. I thought that was a big deal. But yeah, he didn't teach nobody how to play piano.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
And then
I
have.
got to tell you, though, when I get drunk, my go-to karaoke song when I'm loaded is Purple Rain.
Oh, we're
Oh,
gonna.
man, and I sell it. I go up there. I'm
We're
dragging
gonna have to
myself on the
take you out.
floor. I'm just like,
We gotta take him out.
Calls you in
Yeah.
his sorrow. I'm just
Oh
Yeah.
man.
I guarantee there's video somewhere out there.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
floating.
man.
We'll take you out. We'll go out for dinner and drinks, and then do some karaoke. That'd be fun.
And then the last question is really not a question; it's a statement. If you could do it all over again, what would you do different?
And you know what? I've asked myself that question a million times. Like, you think about moments like like, for example, in the career or
Okay.
in a relationship. Man, you know what? If I would have just not done that
Mhm.
day,
Yeah.
this would have gone like this or
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah,
unfortunately, it's like you don't know what else that would have caused.
that's right.
The butterfly effect of
Yeah.
all it takes is one. Just that's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everything is different.
Yep.
And I've seen enough. I've watched Back to the Future enough times to know that you don't mess with the space-time continuum. So going back and doing something different, I don't know that, because it's like, doing something different. Like, well, what if I would have had I don't know, a better relationship with my siblings? How
Yeah.
would that have changed things?
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
what if, a thing with my mom and my dad wouldn't have happened? What
Yeah.
if my dad was in the picture?
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
like when I went to Mexico recently, I actually saw my father for the first time after like 15 years.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
And it was one of those, I told the crowd, I go, my dad's in the crowd. And everybody's like, I go, yeah, I didn't know I had one either. But, you think about what could you have done and what would have happened. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I would not change a thing because
Mhm.
I am in such a good place in my
Right.
life. And I don't think it would have turned out this way.
Mhm.
I wouldn't want to go back and,
Right.
let me just win the lotto today.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No. It taking this long to get to this point has
Mhm.
given me a certain level of appreciation and respect for what
Yeah.
it is that I'm doing in
Yeah.
my life now. And I think that going back and trying to, manipulate it,
Yeah.
again, I wish I could take back certain moments that either
Mhm.
caused pain to
Mhm.
others or to myself,
Yeah.
Mhm.
or moments that just, but you don't know what it would have done.
Right.
You're right.
Life.
You know, those painful moments made me not do something else, or
That's right.
caused me to do something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know I have a couple little questions before. Your love for Hawaiian shirts, where does that come from?
I know this since I'm wearing one right now. No. You know what? I've toned it back a little bit on the Hawaiian shirts, but I've been wearing them forever. The Hawaiian shirt thing came from the fact that when I first started doing stand-up, everyone was just wearing black.
Mhm.
It was
Okay.
just black button-ups, black
Yep.
suits, black ties.
Yep.
Everything was everybody dressed like John Wick.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so, all right, how do you stand out?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I had a couple colorful shirts, and I'm like, you know what? Robin Williams was a big fan of the Hawaiian shirts,
Yep.
and I
Yeah,
just started.
aloha.
That was his thing too, and so that was one of the things that I copied from Robin was like
Got
a
it.
certain look,
Right.
looking very loud and different.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
And so I tried it, and every time I go to the club, there was nobody who had anything on
Oh.
louder than me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Aloha
at the end of
shirts.
the night, you want to do things that are memorable.
Yes.
Even
Right.
if you don't have the funniest set,
Mhm.
you could still be the most memorable
Yep.
because it's like, all right, what stands out? It's a big guy. Okay,
Right.
it's a Hawaiian shirt. It's wearing shorts.
Right.
If you just say who's the comedian that wears the Hawaiian shirts and the shorts?
Mhm.
Gabriel.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
and I've been very consistent.
Right. With the
You
look.
know, there's a lot of comics out there that are constantly trying to reinvent themselves,
Mhm.
and they don't allow the public to embrace
Mhm.
one
Right.
of these. Like,
Right.
what's your thing?
Yeah.
And so if you're always changing, you're basically resetting yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So with the Hawaiian shirts, I gravitated towards them, and next thing I know, I just bought 1, 2, 10, 20, 30, and at one point I
Damn.
had hundreds. And then, of course, I had to deal with the fact that my weight would constantly fluctuate.
Mhm.
So, I've been 100 pounds heavier,
Right.
and then I've been 50 pounds lighter from
Yeah.
right
Right.
now. And
Yeah.
so there's, shirts that go from 2XL up to 6X
Yeah.
and all points in between.
Mhm.
And,
Right.
I know the feeling.
so
Last
that's
question.
where that came from. And honestly, now I'm at the point where I'm actually starting to wear nice black button-ups.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
I'm changing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Brrr.
Yeah.
But
Sexy.
the difference is now the people know who's,
Right.
Yeah. They
once
they
you're
know you.
established, then you could start playing.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like before, I had hair.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had a fade, and then the little flat top thing right here,
Yeah.
and then little by little, you get the little
Just-
horseshoe thing going on
Just
right
like
here. I don't know if
gone.
you're all the way or
Oh
if that's
yeah,
just
I got the George Jefferson all the
Yeah.
way.
All the way.
yeah.
You guys are good.
I got the George Jefferson.
Last question. I know you got to get going. Your love and my love for the Volkswagen buses, you collect them.
yeah. 'Cause I'm a Volkswagen hoarder.
Oh,
That's what I am.
man.
Yeah.
I want one. My parents had one 1966, 65. It was two-tone. I wrote it on your social media. It was like, we had seafoam white, and then we rolled it in the road La Rumorosa in Mexico,
Mhm.
and we almost died.
Yeah.
We were stopped by 2
I'm
crucifixes.
surprised you did, and that's
Yeah.
those are not safe.
Yep, the wheels
yeah.
rolled, and what stopped us from rolling down the hill were 2 American tourists that had died before, and their crucifixes held the Volkswagen.
Oh my god!
And we were spinning. Yeah, but what is your love? How many do you have?
They had to die for you to live.
I know exactly.
That's what I
right?
mean.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. But how many do you have? How many?
I
oh
feel
my
douchey that I
God.
don't even know.
Oh wow!
It's around 30.
No.
Yeah, because there's some that are at the building, and then there's some that are still in the process of being restored.
Oh
Yeah.
my
And
goodness!
so there's there's shells on deck to get worked on.
Yo quiero uno so bad. I want to come and hang out and take a look. Do you mind? I'll clean.
We're 40 minutes from here.
Yeah,
No
I'm
traffic.
seriously okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna make
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah,
can't wait to see
definitely.
them. I'm so excited. This is so great.
And that was another thing too. It's like
Damn.
aside from I think that anytime you associate yourself with a certain brand
Mhm.
Mhm.
or in you got to be consistent with what you like and what you
Right.
put out there.
Yes.
So people say, oh, Fluffy nickname,
Mhm.
Hawaiian shirts,
Mhm.
the shorts,
Mhm.
Right,
the Chihuahuas.
Yep.
right.
I'm always drinking Diet Coke. So they're
Yeah.
like, oh,
Okay.
it's Diet Coke. And then Volkswagens.
Yeah.
Wow.
Volkswagens. I've been putting so much into Volkswagen, into the collection, into just working on it, and finally Volkswagen took notice.
Awesome.
Wow.
That
And
is
so
so
I got
dope.
invited to. I actually got to meet the CEO of
Really?
Volkswagen America.
That's
Super
great.
nice guy.
Wow.
Came out to see the collection,
Wow.
and then he
Oh,
invited me
wow.
to the unveiling of the new ID Buzz, the new Volkswagen
Yeah.
bus that's coming out.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
so I get to go to that event, and he goes, "You are such a big fan and such a huge supporter of Volkswagen." He goes, "I want you to have the first one that comes off the assembly line."
Whoa.
So I will have VIN number 00001
Oh,
of
my.
the new electric bus.
That is
Wow.
great.
We're going to have to see that. We're going to have
That
to
is
see that.
great. Yep. And as a
Wow.
matter of fact, we have the quinceañera
Yeah.
girl
What
here,
we should
right?
do
She's
before
here.
we wrap it up is maybe just take a little moment here and then we have them come in.
I'll bring her in.
So we have a special guest.
We have a special guest today.
A special guest. All
and
right.
she's famous.
She's
She is-
really
she is
famous.
Over 8 million views on TikTok, yo.
Oh.
Hey,
look
come here.
at
She's
you.
like, look,
Come here.
she's like,
Oh.
I'm trying to clean my paw.
Risa.
She's all about. She is in love with her paw. She's done that since she was a puppy.
She said, I'm cleaning my paw.
This is
Risa.
Oh, hi, baby.
little girl.
Hi,
pumpkin.
baby. Hi,
My
baby.
little
Oh, so
Bless you.
beautiful.
Simba.
Thank you, Risa, for
Thank you.
we love you.
Making a special
She's a diva.
appearance.
She is a diva.
She's like, please, I just had my makeup done. Don't smear
She's
it.
like, put me back.
Stop
put me
it.
Back.
This is so great.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
have,
much.
I have Risa and Vinny. I have two Chihuahuas.
Okay.
Again, she's about to turn 17,
Wow.
and the
Wow.
other one is 12. And
Beautiful.
in case anyone is wondering, they are both rescues.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
Yes,
He's a great pup.
From my previous relationship.
Oh.
Much
Awesome.
happier now.
This is great. This is so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much and for spending this time with us. And this has just been an honor and a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Gabriel.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
You
We
guys
hope-
welcome to come down and check out the collection.
We can't
Absolutely.
wait.
We're going to
take you
go.
up on that
And we'd love for you to come back in the future and come
whenever
in.
you want. Open door.
Yep, this is
Thank
your
you.
home. Thank you. And I want to say thank you to everybody out there for watching our podcast, Apollonia Studio 6. Stay tuned for our next episodes. We have really fun guests.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Seth.
Thank you.
And thank you, Gabriel.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
And we
Muchísimas
will-
gracias.
And we will see you next time. So, I don't know if you want to touch on this or not.
What?
Uh-oh.
Do you want to talk about what happened in Paisley Park at all?
Oh, when we got kicked out of Paisley
Oh,
Park?
sure. Why not? This is the moment to talk about it.
This is the time to say, well, we were mistreated and we helped build that empire.
That's
And
right.
This is the result. And is that fair to us? I mean,
Want official Apollonia merchandise? Visit ApolloniaKotero.store and ApolloniaKotero.com.